Wasteland Commander. Please subscribe. Chapter 71. The first transaction. Ye Fan was so angry that he really wanted to turn a blind eye and let him know what horror was when he heard the murmur of this strong black man. But the next words of the strong black man made him give up the idea. I saw the strong black man doing an ancient courtesy to Ye Fan and others, which was to give him a fist. My friends, I'm really happy to see you. This is the most energetic group of survivors I, Chen Hao, have encountered since the beginning of this apocalypse. Tisk. The women are really beautiful and the men are handsome. Ye Fan nodded slightly. This Chen Hao is quite good at talking. Before he could speak, Chen Hao spoke again. I wonder where they are from? Which one is the leader? Maybe we have heard of each other on the radio. Ye Fan stood in the middle and puffed out his chest. I am Ye Fan, the commander-in-chief of the Dawn Army. Chen Hao was stunned for a moment. Shugwang Army? Is it the team in Chengguan town? The one who said they wanted to exchange supplies for gold and silver. Exactly. Chen Hao was overjoyed and immediately came over to shake hands with Ye Fan. Oh, you are the commander-in-chief Ye Fan. You really can't tell a person's face. Ye Fan glanced at Xiao Tian and the next to him, thinking that if Xiao Tian showed hostility to this Chen Hao, he would definitely cut these guys into pieces on the spot. They were so incapable of talking. But Xiao Tian was flirting with the female military dog on the side and seemed not to pay attention to the commander-in-chief's mood. This also proves that people like Chen Hao are not hostile to him. Ye Fan still shook hands with Chen Hao. Chen Hao from the Wangchuang village, whose name he heard mentioned by Gao Dongliang, was the leader of a base. According to Gao Dongliang, those who can be the leaders of the base are all evolved people. These days it is difficult to convince people just by relying on the prestige of reason. You must have power. Only if you have power can you be qualified to reason. Chen Hao's hands were thick and strong, but he didn't use much force when shaking hands with Ye Fan, as if he was afraid of crushing Ye Fan. Chief Ye, the conditions in Ling Shui are pretty good. Look at your clothes. Everyone is wearing camouflage. Why do you look so good? Ye Fan chuckled and said, you are not bad either. It is not easy to establish a base in a village. Hey, it's not that simple. Our Dawangchuang village has a large population, and at noon that day, people from the county came to organize militia for target shooting. Many of us were not at home. Some went to target shooting, and some went to work in the fields. The number of people was scattered. That's why many people escaped, and we used these target guns, as well as some hammers and axes, to take back the village bit by bit. Oh. Then you are lucky. Isn't it true? It's really miserable in our county town. Many government buildings were smashed into rubble by meteors. I heard that it's even worse in the military region. I don't know if it's true or not. We didn't have a chance to go there and take a look. Ye Fan's heart moved. It seemed that the phenomenon of meteors attacking military areas was not unique to Ling Shui. But now is not the time to delve into this issue. This Chen Hao should be a farmer leader. The men behind him look very capable. Two of them are obviously evolutionaries, but they still look a bit simple. The guns they carry are also used by the army, and their firepower is not weak. It is not surprising that they can survive. I'm very happy to see Chief Chen today. Since he's here, let's go inside and talk. Chen Hao also wanted to come over and see the survivors, but he didn't expect to meet Ye Fan, and he wanted to communicate more with Ye Fan. He immediately said to a young man next to him, Xiao Liuzi, go and get the gold and silver jewelry we prepared and let Chief Ye take a look. Okay, Brother Chen. The young man named Xiao Liuzi ran away quickly. Ye Fan did not take Chen Hao to the yard where Xiao Long and Dongfeng iron armor were parked, nor even let him see the armored vehicles and self-destruction trucks. Instead, he took him to the yard where the large trucks were parked. Chen Hao's eyes straightened out as soon as he entered the hospital, and his eyes shone when he looked at the piles of supplies piled on the big truck. Okay, Chief Ye, you have collected a lot of supplies. Let me see, you even have gasoline. Don't you need gasoline for your car? You must leave some of this for me. Many of our cars still burn gasoline. Ye Fan's current cars all burn diesel, and small cars that use gasoline are no longer practical, so he brings a lot of the gasoline he collected to trade. No problem, we are destined to meet each other. Since we can meet Leader Chen here, you can give priority to what supplies we need. Chen Hao suddenly nodded frequently, and even Ye Fan could see him secretly counting something with his fingers. This is a peasant leader with a low level of education. He does not have much of a city, but he lacks some insidiousness, calculation, and viciousness. The rotten atmosphere of the apocalypse has not yet polluted his heart. So letting him choose supplies first is also considered as making a friend. Ye Fan ordered Shen Rui to find Gao Dongliang. After all, it was Gao Dongliang who negotiated the transaction price with these people. After a while, Gao Dongliang and the little Liuza came. As soon as Ye Fan introduced him and Gao Dongliang spoke, Chen Hao immediately recognized Gao Dongliang's voice. Haha! It's you who's talking on the radio. It turns out you're a little fat guy, but you're not as handsome as your leader yet. Gao Dongliang's eyes widened, you are about the same as me. After speaking, Gao Dongliang also complained to Ye Fan, this Chen Hao is famous for not being able to speak. He was ostracized on the radio. If I didn't talk about exchanging materials for gold and silver, he would have been the one that people spray the most. Ye Fan nodded sympathetically, I see it. Since they met here, there was no need to wait for the trading conference. Chen Hao and Gao Dongliang discussed the details of the transaction on the spot. Ye Fan listened, but did not express his position. He left it to Gao Dongliang and let him handle it. Ye Fan did not want to interfere in everything in detail. About half an hour later, the two people reached an agreement on the details of the deal. Ye Fan didn't have much ordinary food here, so he gave him 5 barrels of gasoline, 5 pistols and 200 rounds of ammunition, as well as 100 kilograms of mutated animal meat. He also got 14 kilograms of gold and silver jewelry from Chen Hao. The deal is concluded and everyone is happy. Ye Fan felt very satisfied because he saw that among the jewelry, there were even some jade jewelry. This sum of money was definitely a lot. Chen Hao was even more satisfied. He never dreamed that these useless jewelry could be exchanged for so many supplies, especially mutated animal meat. They once killed a mutated rabbit, and several people who ate it almost swallowed their tongues. It was really a good thing. He even felt very sorry. Until the transaction was completed, he said to Ye Fan, Brother Ye, you have helped me a lot this time. On behalf of the more than 2,000 folks at the Wangchuang village base, I thank you, thank you. You don't need to be so polite, Chief Chen. It's okay for everyone to get what they need. Now that you've made a deal with me, do you still want to go to Sishui County? Let's go, we still have a lot of extra supplies, let's go over and exchange for what we need. Chen Hao was still a little resentful when he said this, damn it, those Xinghai and Lulong are not the same thing. They held a trade fair in Lulong's territory of the hardware building, deliberately squeezing the interests of other survivors, and made a deal. The price is something they take advantage of, and in the past I would have definitely been ripped off by them. Oh. Then you are willing to do so. There is nothing we can do if we are not willing. Their location is relatively central and suitable for trading, and it is useless for others to object. The two of them will have an advantage if they join forces, unless the hot spring base and the airport base join forces with us. Then they won't join forces. Dai Yu from the hot spring base is thinking, but it's a pity that the airport base is not cooperating. That woman Qin Yumo is very crazy and doesn't sell anyone's face. Brother, you should be careful, Xinghai seems to be trying to deal with you. These words made Ye Fan feel more favorable towards Chen Hao, and he smiled slightly, my brothers will not agree. Your brothers? Where are they? Chen Hao hasn't seen Ye Fan's strength yet. Ye Fan raised his hand, here. In front of the door, 3 vehicles with machine guns drove slowly past, and heavily armed soldiers lined up. The steel spear flashes, the bayonet is cold. Although there are not many people, the iron-blooded murderous aura rushing towards them is already daunting. Chen Hao's eyes widened and he stuttered a little when he spoke. This, Brother Ye, Chief, Officer. Thanks to the book friend, Crawling Turtle, for once again rewarding me with 10,000 yuan and being promoted to the Hall Master. Chapter 72. Hardware Building. To be honest, Ye Fan doesn't have many people here, there are more than 40 red police units, but these are elite troops after all. Even Wang Hu and Li Baiao's truck-driving mobilization troops are all 3 stars, and their combat effectiveness is off the charts. That kind of iron-blooded momentum is not something ordinary people can possess. With those 3 steel chariots, it is completely normal for Chen Hao to be stunned for a moment. Originally I wanted to say Brother Ye, but I also wanted to say Commander, and I almost said Brother. Ye Fan didn't care if Chen Hao saw his chariot, it was originally meant to be shown to others. Chen Hao looked at Ye Fan with a shocked look, Chief Ye, Are these regular troops? Ye Fan smiled, whether we are a regular army or not, we are now called the Dawn Army. Chen Hao nodded. He was a little unsure of Ye Fan's identity, but the other party did not admit that he was a regular soldier, which made him feel a little disappointed and relieved at the same time. If he were a regular soldier, he would immediately feel that he was a lot shorter than Ye Fan, and it would be difficult to get along with him psychologically. Then Chen Hao patted his chest to Ye Fan, "Brother, you have such a strong team, then I can rest assured. I will follow you in this trade fair. Let's see if Xinghai and Lu Long still dare to kill me." Ye Fan smiled and said, "Are other people really so difficult to unite? It's not easy to unite. The hot spring base has the largest number of survivors in the entire coal city. It doesn't like Dawangchuang like us. Qin Yumo's airport base is similar. I heard they even have planes there." "Oh. There are also planes? Is it a military one?" "That's right, it's just a civilian passenger plane, and there are 2 civilian helicopters, but those are pretty awesome. Being able to fly into the sky is now a skill." Ye Fan nodded slightly. It is true that having an airplane gives him a considerable advantage. In many cases, he can even be invincible. But in front of Ye Fan, he was not so bright. He converted this money into money, and could produce anti-aircraft infantry at any time. Once the portable individual missiles came out, civilian helicopters would become targets. As for civilian passenger aircraft, there should be little use for them now. "Then let's set off together tomorrow." "Great, see you tomorrow." Chen Hao and his people drove a truck to pull the supplies they had just traded, and returned happily. Ye Fan returned indoors with the same joy. Chen Hao's arrival was really timely. With these jewelry, he had the ability to adapt during the trading conference. Once there are signs of something bad happening, he can rush in with troops at any time to reverse the situation. Arrived indoors, Ye Fan transformed these jewelry. 15,620 gold. Although the jewelry weighs 14 kilograms, some of it, including jade and gemstones, are more valuable. With so much money, Ye Fan immediately felt confident. As long as he wants, he can immediately build a platoon. However, he did not use it immediately. It is not very convenient now. It will depend on the situation later. That night, Ye Fan and others stayed in this small village. He lived in the east room of an east-west room, and then Xiaojing and He Xiaoting insisted on living in the west room, saying that this was their mission. As long as they were alive, they must protect the safety of the chief. Ye Fan looked at these 2 stubborn girls helplessly. "Forget it, if you suffer a little loss, you will suffer a little loss. There were guards standing guard outside the door and military dogs patrolling around, but I didn't sleep well that night." The next morning, Ye Fan got up with dark circles under his eyes and had dinner with everyone. After eating, he heard some movement from Chen Hao and others over there. Getting in the car and arriving at the entrance of the village, I saw Chen Hao and his team's convoy. Different from Ye Fan, they were 4 civilian off-road vehicles and 3 large trucks. The supplies on the car are not very good. There are some food, some daily necessities, and even some electrical appliances installed on the car. They are all refrigerators, air conditioners, etc. Fortunately, there is no TV installed. Now there is not even a TV station, and the TV has become a waste. Seeing Ye Fan and Chen Hao were a little embarrassed. "We in Dawangchuang village don't have many resources. These are all collected from every household. Try to change them to something practical." He got a little mutated animal meat and a few pistols from Ye Fan. Half of the purpose of the trip was completed, and he was in a particularly good mood now. Ye Fan smiled, "I'm afraid you can't get anything in exchange for your electrical appliances." "Hey, I have no choice, I'm poor, I just gave it a try." "Let's go, you go to the front." Ye Fan asked Chen Hao to go to the front, but Chen Hao did nothing. Compared with Ye Fan's team, his team was like a moving company, and it was really shameless to walk in front. Ye Fan did not refuse, and called everyone to get on the bus and set off towards Sishui County. As the convoy moved forward, Ye Fan found that there were really not many zombies nearby. It seemed that they were approaching the gathering area of survivors, and they had already lured the zombies elsewhere. Thinking of the village near Chengguan town, Ye Fan felt a little worried. Nowadays, zombies have no intelligence at all. Human beings can come up with many ways to deal with them, but they also see some bad signs. If they know how to act collectively, it will really be a fatal blow to the survivors. I hope the situation in Chengguan town is just an exception, otherwise many survivors may not survive this winter. The convoy gradually approached Sishui County. Ye Fan turned a blind eye in the car and discovered the hardware building before the radar screen found it. We're almost there, less than 7 kilometers away. Several people are plotting on the 4th floor of the hardware building. There are 2 parties in total, and there are 3 people on each side. One of the men was a man in his early 40s, wearing a grey windbreaker, with a pitted face, making him look ferocious. This person is Xing Hai, the leader of Daking Shan prison, an evolver. He was followed by 2 guards, both carrying submachine guns behind them. Their backs were straight and they looked quite imposing. But compared with the 2 guards on the opposite side, it seems a bit unsightly. Because the 2 guards on the opposite side are all evolved. Opposite Xing Hai, sat a fat man in his 30s, with a flat head, a big face and a thick neck. This fat man is Lu Long, the current leader of the hardware building. Lu Long is also an evolver. In the hardware building, he even has the title of Demon King. The survivors under him are living a relatively hard life. His theory is that I will support you as long as you live. If someone falls ill and falls, the only thing waiting for him is death, and Lu Long will not give him any treatment. Lu Long looked at Xing Hai at this moment, with a joking smile on his face. Brother Xing, how did you do this? I remember you have 2 evolvers, why are you replacing them with these 2 embroidered pillows now? What's the matter? Can it be used at critical moments? Xing Hai gets very angry when he talks about this. Don't mention it, they are all dead, let his mother Ling Shui's Ye Fan get killed. Oh, how did you get the news? I'm not sure. The day after they left, someone informed me on the radio. It sounded like Wang Huining to me, but it didn't look like him. He told me that Wang Huining and Lao San were dead. They died in Ling Shui. Chengguan town also told me that the people named Ye are very strong. Although there are not many people, they are close to the strength of the regular army, so I should be more careful. Lu Long also looked slightly solemn. Then you have to take this matter seriously. I know the bald Wang Huining. He said so. Ye Fan is not easy to deal with. We need to plan more. Xing Hai showed a sneer. Don't worry, brother is not a brainless person. I have found a group of strong reinforcements. Even if he is really a regular army, I have to make sure they never come back. Oh. What kind of strong support? Can you tell me? Xing Hai hesitated to speak, and finally said simply, don't ask, it's inconvenient to say, this is my trump card. In short, as long as these people give them money, they will do anything. Money? Are you talking in your sleep? What's the use of asking for money now? Xing Hai leaned back in his chair. I'm surprised too, but there are such fools, and there are more than one, such as Ye Fan who is coming today. I have prepared more than one move for him, and this time it will be new. Let's settle the old accounts together. Lu Long, we have to make a plan, it's best not to let me use my trump cards. Thanks to Fei Yanren, book friends for their generous rewards, we have another helmsman in red alert. Let me explain the heroic unit again. Many readers asked me whether there will be heroic units. The answer is affirmative, yes. But it is different from the original red alert. In addition to the original red alert, many more hero units are added here. Each hero unit is our book friends set, but not every set is necessarily the same. If you can be hired, not everyone who becomes a sidekick can become a hero unit. In principle, genuine readers are given priority. Chapter 73. The Commander-in-Chief appears. When Xing Hai and Lu Long were discussing how to deal with Ye Fan, suddenly there was a noise outside the building. Among the survivors who came to Surabaya, not everyone is qualified to trade in the building. Only those who Lu Long and Xing Hai think are qualified to become the boss of a party and qualified to be called the leader will be invited to the building. There are no more than 10 such people in the entire Michan area. As for ordinary small survivor groups, they can only trade outside the building. What can cause the survivor group to make noise must be the arrival of a boss-level figure from a certain party. The 2 people looked down through the window and saw a convoy coming downstairs. More than a dozen cars. In the front are 4 modified Range Rovers, and in the back are as many as 10 heavy trucks. They are piled with various supplies, including gasoline barrels, piles of rice and noodles, and brand new bedding and clothing. They look really good. More than 20 people got off the Range Rover, each holding a gun. Standing in the middle was a thin man with 2 pistols on his waist. He was wearing sunglasses in mid-September, and he looked relatively cold. Who is this? Why do you look so pretentious? Could it be Ye Fan? Lu Long asked. Xinghai shook his head, probably not. The guy from Shugwang army on the radio made such a big deal about Ye Fan. He was young and promising, approachable, gentle, and amiable, and didn't play with women or abuse survivors. In the past, he could have been our coal city. One of the top 10 outstanding young people. Lu Longdu was stunned. Is it possible? Then he killed your people many times. So, I don't believe what the people on the radio said at all, but I estimate that Ye Fan must be a person who is very good at pretending on the surface and will not put on such useless scenes. He should be a gentle young man. At this time, the guard in front of the door below sent a message to Lu Long via the intercom. Boss, Leader Dai Yu of the hot spring base has arrived. Xinghai snorted, I guessed it right. It's not Ye Fan. This is Dai Yu from the hot spring base. This guy claims that his hot spring base is the best in the coal city. Damn it, if Ye Fan hadn't come out to fight me, I will kill this Dai Yu first. Lu Long looked at Dai Yu below. This guy seems to have a lot of trouble. Well, there are indeed 2 times. This kid is nicknamed Hairtail. He is very sneaky with 2 guns and can run very fast. Lu Long picked up the walkie-talkie and informed the people below, go and take Leader Dai Yu to the reception room. The person at the door was notified and took Dai Yu to the reception room. Dai Yu had just arrived when another convoy arrived. This fleet is not as big as the hot spring base, but it is still quite large. There are 5 heavy trucks and 3 off-road vehicles. The leading man was holding a cigar, wearing a purple suit, a gold chain around his neck, an emerald ring on his finger, and a big gold watch on his wrist. He was accompanied by a woman dressed voluptuously, who looked like a typical pre-apocalyptic man. Nouveau riche style. A group of strong men in camouflage got out of the car, some with pistols, some with rifles, and a few with 5-shot shotguns. Who is this? How can one of them be more pretentious than the other? Could this be Ye Fan? Xinghai shook his head, believe in my judgment, Ye Fan will not be so pretentious. He must be a smiling tiger, and this one is definitely not. The guard sent another message, Boss Wu Xiao from Beiwa County is here. It turns out to be Wu Xiao. This guy is doing well in Beiwa. He has more than 3,000 people under his command, but he is not a good bird either. Lu Long snorted, how many good birds are there in this world? Those who survive are probably stained with blood. Just be aware of current affairs. The doorman was notified to take Wu Xiao to the reception room. Looking at the time, they agreed to start the trading meeting at 10 o'clock, which was less than an hour away. Suddenly there was another noise outside, this time it was louder. Plane, there is a plane. The 2 people hurriedly looked up to the sky, and sure enough they saw a civilian helicopter slowly flying over. There was also a fleet of vehicles traveling below the plane. The strongest one was a flatbed trailer. When the plane landed, the flatbed trailer stopped just in time and landed directly on the car. The metal hanging ladder was lowered, and a beautiful woman dressed in cool clothes came down. Black military vests, hot denim shorts, and white thighs have a gun bag with a small pistol on it. They are painted with light makeup, their faces are also delicate, their limbs are slender, but the chest size is very average. There were several guards behind her, both male and female, and they didn't seem simple at all. Is this hot girl supposed to be Qin Yamo? Apart from her airport base, there are no planes anywhere else. Lu Long said angrily, it's really just a show of strength. It's just a demonstration for me, Lu Long. Xinghai snorted, sooner or later, this woman will be good looking, but before dealing with them, Ye Fan is the key, so don't create extraneous problems first. I know. Lu Long also notified the people below, asking leader Qin Yamo to enter the reception room. After Qin Yamo, 2 more leaders came one after another. Maybe they didn't want to be looked down upon. They both looked majestic when they appeared on the stage, which made Lu Long and Xinghai look disgusted. Damn! These guys came to my place to perform. I really want to give them a gun. Lu Long gritted his teeth angrily. Xinghai comforted, don't be angry. The shallower the city is, the dogs that bite don't bark. We mainly need to be careful about Ye Fan. Having suffered losses at the hands of Ye Fan many times, Xinghai has regarded Ye Fan as a serious problem. Hearing what Xinghai said, even Lu Long was looking forward to Ye Fan's appearance. His image of Ye Fan has been sketched in his mind. The appearance of an ordinary college student is gentle, pretending to be harmless, but deep down he must be a vicious guy. When the time was close to 10 o'clock, another convoy finally appeared. When the helicopter appeared just now, the survivors below made a noise, but this time they screamed in surprise. Army! Oh my god! I saw that right, there are still troops here. This is really a military vehicle. Look at that machine gun. Oh my god, is this the thing that shoots out blue fire? Forget the mountain cannon. The one you mentioned is called Gatling. It is an anti-aircraft machine gun. If it is really an army, I will be ready to surrender. Lu Long and Xing Hai were also frightened when they saw the appearance of Xiaolong, Dongfeng armor, especially the assault armored vehicle. If the army really comes, the good days of these leaders are likely to be over. But fortunately, there seemed to be only a few military vehicles, and as they were familiar with the surrounding situation, they were very sure that there were no troops in the area for thousands of miles, so these people should not be there. If it's not the army, who is such a popular person? Soon, the motorcade stopped in front of the hardware building. A group of soldiers armed with light machine guns came out of the armored vehicle. These people moved in unison and gathered in front of Dongfeng armor as quickly as possible, and quickly formed two human walls on the left and right. The muzzle of the gun pointed outward, blocking off a passage for people to move forward, all the way to the door of the hardware building. Even the guards standing at the door were pushed aside with guns in hand, as if to make way for the big shot. Then the Dongfeng iron armor door opened, and two beauties in military uniforms came down. One is gorgeous, the other is pure. This military uniform adds a dashing and heroic charm to them, immediately eclipsing the surrounding female survivors. The beauty opened the door and two dogs got out of the car. Wearing a blue cloth, like the others, it has a pattern of dark clouds covering the sun and skylight bursting out. These two dogs, as well as several other dogs, sniffed all the way forward, their eyes flashing fiercely, as if they were looking for some bad guys. Ye Fan actually doesn't like this kind of behavior, but he has no choice. He also knows that someone here is going to deal with him, and the first mission of the Red Police Unit is to protect the safety of him, the Commander-in-Chief, and no one can be too cautious. Xiao Tian and the others were sure they were safe. Ye Fan was about to get out of the car, but Chen Hao suddenly ran over. I don't know what Chen Hao was thinking. Maybe it was to save his face, and also to prove to people that Chen Hao hugged a big tree and actually got a bundle of red carpets. Chief Ye, this was left over from the ribbon-cutting ceremony of our village's agricultural cooperative. You can use it as soon as possible. With that said, the two people quickly rolled out the bundle of red carpets until they arrived in front of the hardware building. Ye Fan is riding a tiger and can't get off, so let's go. Getting off the Dongfeng iron armor, two scouts, Shen Rui, Sanayu and others opened the way, while two snipers, Zhao Ming and Lin Qing, stood behind. Xiao Jing and He Xiaoting carefully held Ye Fan's arms to prevent him from falling on the red carpet. The person guarding the hardware building in front of the door was forced into a corner by the army soldiers, and he took the walkie-talkie to report to Lu Long aggrievedly. Boss, Ye Fan, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ling Shui Shiguang Army, is here. Upstairs, Xing Hai and Lu Long looked at each other in shock after hearing the news. Lu Long looked at Xing Hai for a long time. Is this the gentle and approachable Ye Fan you mentioned? Please vote for recommendation. Chapter 74. Anti-Leaf Alliance. Lu Long looked at Xing Hai with a somewhat unkind look. He suspected that this guy had set a trap for him and deliberately pushed him into the pit of fire. Is this approachable? This is a domineering warlord, right? With soldiers and dogs, I, Lu Long, had to walk around when I saw him. Brother Hai, I have made an agreement with you. If I do this kind of business, I won't do it. Even though I have more than 100 people with weapons, plus the 40 or 50 people you brought over, I'm afraid I won't be able to do it. Ye Fan, these people look a bit fierce. Xing Hai, who had always been confident before, was no longer confident. He did find a group of people who could take action when necessary, but after seeing the power of Ye Fan, he couldn't believe that the group of people he found would definitely be able to win. Lu Long, it seems we have to prepare for both things. Tell me the story. Xing Hai pondered for a while. Look at Yi's behavior, we too are not good people, but compared with him, we are probably compassionate. You said that such a person has such a powerful power? Will he still abide by his previous agreement and trade gold with us at the previous price? Lu Long thought for a while. I don't think it's possible. This guy always takes 2 girls with him when he goes out. He is definitely a drunkard. If he feels that our power is not as good as his, it is normal for him to change his mind. Yes, I guess he will change his mind, but all the bosses will not be willing to accept it, but it is not easy to want them to confront Ye Fan head-on. It will be difficult to deal with that armored vehicle, so our only chance is do it on the trading floor. Trading floor? That's right, we have little chance of winning outside. As long as we can win the support of most bosses in the trading floor, we still have a good chance. If we kill the guy named Ye, these bosses will be forced to get on the same boat with us. No matter how strong Ye Fan's men are, the combined number of our armed forces exceeds 500, and we occupy a favorable location. Why are we afraid that there are only 40 or 50 of them? Lu Long thought for a while. I think it's feasible. What about the secondary preparations you mentioned? The second option is a backup plan. If we can't deal with him in the hall, I'm afraid the 2 of us will have to withdraw. You can't stay in the hardware building. I have already contacted a team, but it is not convenient for that team to come. There are many people here, so we have to run quickly to join that team. As long as we do this, I believe we can still compete with the people named Ye. Lu Long finally nodded and agreed. Let's stick to the first option. I don't want to be chased away like a dog. Don't worry, that's settled, let's get ready. I remember there is an elevator in this building, right? Yes, but I blocked it. Okay, I'll enable it quietly in a moment. Ye Fan and Chen Hao came downstairs. Lu Long's people arranged for them to take the stairs, saying that the elevator was broken and could not be used. And for the safety of all bosses, each person can only bring a maximum of 2 people in. Ye Fan asked Shen Rui and Xiao Sanayu to follow him. In such complex indoor scenes, scouts are more useful than snipers. However, the 2 people also led 2 dogs. Male dogs roar. The controls the sky. This is the name Ye Fan gave to the female dog after observing their normal behavior. Lu Long's people didn't know what to say. The boss told him that he was only allowed to bring 2 people. Does it count as a foul for Ye Fan to bring 2 more dogs? Chen Hao also took 2 evolvers and followed Ye Fan upstairs to the trading hall on the 3rd floor. This place used to sell metal accessories. It has a large space. When you walk in, you will first see a screen, and then inside is a long table that Lu Long has already set up for everyone to sit down. Ye Fan was led to his seat, and 2 scouts stood behind him with their dogs, guarding him loyally. When Ye Fan came in, he was looked at by the bosses, but no one took the initiative to talk to Ye Fan. They were obviously a little afraid of the leader of the Dawn Army. Ye Fan didn't talk to anyone else. He first glanced at the radar screen. The distribution of some blue light spots on the radar screen aroused his alertness. It seems that he is planning to find an opportunity to attack me. Ye Fan looked around. He saw a bathroom opposite, divided into men's and women's sides. The door of the bathroom was diagonally facing the main entrance of the hall. There was no one in the bathroom now. This room is basically full of men. I can definitely set up an ambush in the bathroom. It will be miraculous at the critical moment. Nana, give me a trio of heavy machine gun warriors. They should be born in the women's bathroom to avoid being discovered. If Lu Long and Xing Hai really send someone over, I can give them a surprise. As you wish, sir, it costs 1,500 gold and takes 15 minutes. Please wait patiently. The production of heavy machine gun warriors has begun. As long as firepower appears at the bathroom door, Ye Fan believes that no matter how the situation changes, everything will be under his control. Lu Long never dreamed that there would be an ambush in this bathroom. The production started, and about 10 minutes later, Lu Long and Xing Hai walked into the room. Ha ha ha. I'm really sorry for keeping you guys waiting for so long. Lu Long came to the middle position with a smile on his face. After all, he was the host today. Boss, although this is the first time we have met, we have admired each other for a long time. Being able to lead everyone to survive in this cannibalistic world, we are all the best. Lu admires me. This trading conference, I also hope that each other can exchange knowledge, develop stronger, and live better. I hope everyone can be satisfied this time and return home with a full load. Everyone clapped their hands twice symbolically in response. Wu Xiao from Baihua said anxiously, Captain Lu, everyone is here, please come up with some trading method. Hehe, don't worry, Leader Wu. I think we should complete one thing first before the formal transaction. Lu Long said and faced Ye Fan, this is the leader Ye of the Dawn Army. He is indeed young and promising. I remember that the Dawn Army wants to acquire gold, silver, and gems. Everyone has accumulated some during this time. Shall we, according to the previous agreement, we will trade these things with you first. By then, we will have more resources at hand, and we will save 2 more troubles when we trade again. What do you think? The leaders nearby expressed their agreement. Ye Fan glanced at everyone. It's true to collect gold and silver, but I don't have an urgent need, and I have a habit of giving him a higher price if I like it. If you don't like it, then I'm sorry, I won't charge you any price no matter how low it is. Xinghai and Lu Long looked at each other and were both a little excited. This Ye Fan was indeed domineering. Xinghai slapped the table and stood up. Yet, you are targeting all of us. It's not just a matter of your mouth to decide who is pleasing to the eye or not. We can't hold our destiny in your hands. Everyone says yes, that's not true. Other leaders agreed. Yes, are you kidding us? I, Wu Xiao from Beiwa County, am the first to disagree. I, Fuchen Zhao Zio Hao, don't agree with it either. I won't finish this matter until I give you an explanation. Wang Huai of our forestry farm disagrees, and we still have to implement it according to the original plan. Seeing that the 3 bosses clearly expressed their opposition, Lu Long and Xinghai felt confident. The 5 of them are against Ye Fan, and this matter is already quite certain. Chen Hao doesn't have to count on him anymore. He has become Ye Fan's follower. Now it's up to Dai Yu at the hot spring and Qin Yemo at the airport. Dai Yu looked at Qin Yemo, as if he wanted to see the other person's attitude. The airport base is quite powerful. If Qin Yemo objects, then an alliance against Ye Fan will be formed. Qin Yemo, the little pepper, looked at Ye Fan for a while. Chief Yet, don't you think your request is too much? Ye Fan shrugged. I don't think that gold, silver, and jewelry are worthless to you. It would be good if you can exchange them for life-saving food and medicine. If you don't agree, you can choose not to trade with me and find other people who are willing. The person who trades. Qin Yemo stood up angrily because of Ye Fan's arrogant attitude. I have never seen someone as arrogant as you. Who do you think you are talking to? Ye Fan glanced at this little beauty. Looking at your figure, you should be from an airport base, right? Qin Yemo was stunned, looked down at his chest, and then his face turned red. You stinky scoundrel! Don't think that because you have strong armed forces, you can do whatever you want. I am not your mistress or your wife. I can let you tease me. I am firmly opposed to this matter. I would rather be a mistress than agree. After finishing speaking, Qin Yu stood up abruptly, took out a walkie-talkie and talked while walking. People outside, please pay attention. Things may change here. Everyone, please be on alert. With that said, Qin Yemo walked into the bathroom. Across the table, Lu Long and Xinghai quietly high-fived in excitement. It's done. The update last night was swallowed up. I happened to be unsatisfied with some of the writing, so I reposted it. Sorry. Chapter 75. Betrayal. Qin Yemo walked into the bathroom, and even Ye Fan didn't pay attention. Later, Qin Yemo heard a muffled cry, but because the sound was too low, it also did not arouse people's alertness. Lu Long and Xinghai were still immersed in the excitement of uniting all the armed forces to destroy Ye Fan. In their opinion, as long as they kill Ye Fan, this battle is still a sure win. There is no one in the room to help Ye Fan now. Just 2 soldiers and 2 dogs are useless. After all, the bosses from all parties have arrived. Many people are evolutionaries and their subordinates are also armed. I don't believe that Ye Fan can have extraordinary abilities. Xinghai coughed, his expression already a little excited. Chief Yat, what do you think is a reasonable transaction price? Ye Fan said, it's very simple. The price our people negotiated with you at the beginning will be doubled based on that price. For example, I remember that we ordered 50 grams of gold for 50 kilograms of rice, so now it costs 100 gram. Ye Fan, you are too evil. 2 grams of gold and 1 pound of rice. Is your rice the fragrant Wu Chang Dea Huaxiang? Ye Fan glanced disdainfully at Zhao Ziohao who spoke, if Chief Zhao doesn't agree, then you can keep your gold and see if this thing is edible. Those with the surname Yat, don't think that gold is useless. It can be used by many high-tech instrument industries. Really, then you keep it and see when your high technology will appear. Wang Huai from the forest farm base was speechless as he spoke. They were almost back to the primitive society where they could barely afford to eat. High technology was simply a castle in the air. Xing Hai spoke, "Ye Fan, I advise you to be more aware of current affairs. Now that no one is willing to accept your oppression, it proves that your method will not work. Okay, let me give you a step up. Next, you reduce the original price by 5 times. Take rice as an example. In the past, 1 gram of gold cost 1 kilogram of rice. Now 1 gram of gold costs 5 kilograms of rice. The same is true for other commodities. I guarantee that we will keep all the goods you brought." Ye Fan laughed, "Then what if I don't agree? I'm afraid it's not up to you. As long as all the bosses object, you may not be able to get out of this gate." This sentence was said by Lu Long. When he spoke, he showed his murderous intent and said to the people around him, "Does anyone support Ye Fan?" "I won't support him." "I do not know either." "Me too." Everyone at the table expressed their opinions, but Chen Hao was the only one who stood by Ye Fan. Dai Yu in the hot spring is still hesitating. He wants to sell the gold. After all, this thing is completely useless, but everyone wants to suppress the strongest man, Ye Fan. What should he do? Xing Hai looked at Dai Yu dissatisfied. "Chief Dai, what are you waiting for? Don't you agree with my opinion?" Dai Yu looked at the bathroom and said, "I'll wait a moment. Leader Qin will come out later." Chief Qin's attitude is very clear. "You are really a mother-in-law." Before he finished speaking, a beautiful figure came out of the bathroom. Qin Yumo seemed to have washed his face, and he was no longer as excited as when he entered the bathroom. Xing Hai smiled and looked at Qin Yumo. "Chief Qin, what's left now is your statement. I propose that Chief Ye lower the price of goods 5 times. Do you agree with me?" Qin Yumo returned to his seat, calmed down his emotions, then glanced at Ye Fan, with a forced smile on his lips, and then looked at Xing Hai. "What is Leader Yi's opinion? This vampire wants to exploit us and has doubled the price. Before, 1 gram of gold was 1 pound of rice, but now it's 2 grams. Who can accept such a ghost suggestion?" "I can accept." Qin Yumo's words immediately stunned Xing Hai, who was talking endlessly. He even suspected that there was something wrong with his ears, and looked at Qin Yumo blankly. "Chief Qin, did I hear correctly? Are you kidding me?" Qin Yumo glanced at him. "Do you think I'm joking?" As he said that, Qin Yumo faced the leaders present. "Everyone, this is what I think. Does Leader Ye need gold? Look at him, how can there be any gold or silver in his body? His acting style is low-key and simple. He has not been affected by the apocalyptic wave at all. What does a person like him want gold for? What he does is just to help everyone in disguise. As the people being helped, shouldn't we accept it with gratitude, but instead treat him with kindness? Turn against each other. Some people may be able to do such a thing, but I, Qin Yumo, can't do it anyway, so. I agree with Leader Ye Fan's proposal, let alone having the price, I'm willing to give it away for free." After finishing speaking, Qin Yumo lowered his head and retched twice, as if his stomach was uncomfortable. Xing Hai was a little stupid, and everyone here was stupid. Why did Qin Yumo and his attitude just turn around? This is no longer a 180-degree turn, this is a 720-degree turn, plus face down into the water. You don't have any shame. Xing Hai gritted his teeth and looked at Qin Yumo. "Chief Qin, that's not what you just said." Qin Yumo didn't even raise his eyelids. "I thought about it just now, and then I understood Leader Yi's good intentions. I was deeply moved by him." Ye Fan also admired Qin Yumo as a woman. He could actually rob her with force, but that would be too inviolent, and would inevitably lead to losses, so he hoped to trade part of it with some neutral survivors. It's really rare to find someone who understands your painstaking efforts. Since Chief Qin understands justice so well, I am willing to trade with you at the price I just set. Qin Yumo smiled at Ye Fan, and tears of excitement filled his eyes. Dai Yu from the hot spring glanced back and forth a few times. Although he was a little unclear about the situation, he instinctively felt that Qin Yumo's choice was right. Immediately spoke, "I also support the decision of Chief Ye and Chief Qin. I am willing to trade with Chief Ye." Ye Fan also smiled at Dai Yu. There are always smart people in the world. Xing Hai couldn't stand it anymore. Seeing the formed alliance suddenly collapse, he felt like he was being tricked. He looked at Qin Yumo suspiciously. "Chief Qin, are you acting for me? You and Ye Fan have known each other for a long time, right?" Whatever you think. Qin Yumo didn't care. Haha. Pretend. The airport base is in the suburbs of Coal City. It is obviously the closest here, but you arrived with Yafan back and forth. I have to suspect that you have known each other for a long time. Maybe you lived with this Yafan last night. Qin Yumo was in an extremely bad mood, and couldn't help but explode when he heard Singhai say this. So what? Do you think that everyone is a scumbag like you, and they have to do those things when they live together? Let's just how about getting together? Can we play poker all night? Singhai laughed angrily, ha ha ha. You treat me like a 3-year-old child. Men and women playing poker together? Who would believe such nonsense? That man's name is Chen Hao, do you believe it? He wanted to open a breakthrough from Chen Hao and disintegrate Yafan's power. Unexpectedly, Chen Hao had already determined to follow Yafan's footsteps and immediately spoke for Yafan. Of course I believe it. I can also testify to this matter. Yesterday, Chief Ye and Chief Qin did live together. I was right next door to them. However, the two of them were innocent. They were really just playing poker together. Chief Ye he is very skilled. Leader Qin lost miserably yesterday and spent the whole night talking about whether he wanted it or not. Qin Yumo glared at Chen Hao, who was talking nonsense, but he held it back and did not refute. Singhai and Lu Long were furious. Singhai gave Lu Long a look and asked him about the arrangement. Lu Long nodded secretly, indicating that everything had been arranged. Singhai can't control that much anymore. Although it's not perfect to win over Qin Yumo and Dai Yu, he believes that the problem can be solved now with the power of these people. Chapter 76. Massacre. The transaction with Qin Yumo and Dai Yu went smoothly. Yafan thanked him for raising the price of goods, otherwise the goods he brought might not be enough. Be it the airport base or the hot spring base, the people in these two places are basically relatively wealthy. Whether it is a person who survived or a person who became a zombie, there is a lot of gold and silver jewelry on his body. So these two families brought the most abundant gold and silver. He sold more than half of the goods he had and got 2 large bags of jewelry from 2 people. Especially at Dai Yu's place, there is even a golden bowl ornament, which was originally the treasure of the hot spring base. This thing alone weighs 12 kilograms. Dai Yu got almost 20 kilograms of wealth here, and Qin Yumo also got 15 kilograms. If all these things were turned into money, it would be more than 30,000 gold. The conversation between the few went very smoothly. Qin Yumo immediately agreed to whatever Yafan suggested. Later, he simply handed over all the gold to Yafan and offered to drive a heavy truck with him and Dai Yu. Yafan agreed. The heavy truck contained ordinary supplies, no mutated animal meat and no guns and ammunition. In exchange for more than 30,000 gold, he made a lot of money. Yafan nodded, and Qin Yumo immediately left with Dai Yu, not even making subsequent transactions. Dai Yu was still a little confused and followed Qin Yumo downstairs. He didn't have time to ask a word before the two of them got into the car. Chief Qin, are you really moved by Mark? Qin Yumo sneered at himself, how can I be moved? I don't dare to move. Why? Because Yafan has already put the heavy machine gun in the bathroom, people like Singhai will suffer a big loss. Let's not talk about it. We can't stay in the place of right and wrong for a long time. Let's go further and divide the supplies, and then go our separate ways. Dai Yu broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't know how Yafan did it. He was able to place a heavy machine gun in Lu Long's lair. Thanks to being out early, gunshots may sound soon. When Yafan and the others were trading, Singhai and Lu Long were watching with cold eyes. It would be better for Qin Yumo and the others to go out. The only people to deal with were Yafan and Chen Hao. Lu Long said a few words over the walkie-talkie, and then nodded to Singhai. Singhai looked at Yafan where the old was present, and felt that there was something wrong there, but he could no longer think about it at this moment. Snapped. Singhai slapped his palm on the table and said sternly to Yafan, "Yet, you killed so many of us. The debt should be settled today. How do you want to calculate it? Eye for eye." Singhai turned to the other veterans, "Everyone, whoever is willing to help me, Singhai will be my brother from now on. Yafan also has a lot of supplies and vehicles. Let's take his things and share them equally. Anyone who is willing to do it with me, let's do it now." Wu Xiao and others also disliked Yafan and left rationally. The remaining ones among them all had the character of bandits. With such a big threat like Yafan around, they were restless. Maybe one day Ye Fan will get stronger and kill them easily. In this case, it is better to strike first now. It is safest to kill Ye Fan while he is still young. But before they could take action, Ye Fan took action. The three men suddenly burst into flames and fired ferociously with the submachine guns in their hands. The roaring bullets hit the table with splinters of wood, and the surrounding glass shattered. 3 guards and 2 superpowers were beaten into pieces on the spot due to lack of preparation. Even Wang Huai at the forest farm base was shot in the head by Ye Fan. Wang Huai was also a person with supernatural powers, but he was caught off guard and died of frustration. Xing Hai and others took a step slower and fell into a passive state. They were pinned under the table and unable to raise their heads. Ye Fan and the other 2 took this opportunity and jumped directly over the table. Before Ye Fan started, he pointed at a corner to Chen Hao, so as soon as the incident happened, he quickly retreated to that corner with 2 of his men. Although he didn't know why he was hiding here, he thought it would be fine if he obeyed. Jumping over the table, the 2 scouts continued to suppress the fire, while Ye Fan rushed to the bathroom door as quickly as possible. With a twist of his body, he disappeared into the bathroom with 2 military dogs. Shen Rua Kiao Sanayu continued to fire, the bullets of the submachine gun were all gone, he shot the pistol with his left hand, and changed the submachine gun magazine with his right hand. This skill is not something ordinary people can do. It took 2 seconds for the pistol bullets to be exhausted, and the submachine gun continued to fire. The people like Xing Hai were beaten so hard that they had no chance to fight back. They could only hide under the table, and some people were shot from time to time. Da-da-da. Before the second round of ammunition was finished, the door of the hall was kicked open, and a large group of armed men rushed in. These people took the elevator down from the top floor. This way they could not only avoid Ye Fan's people in the stairwell, but also concentrate their superior forces to deal with Ye Fan and others instantly. However, Ye Fan's early start disrupted the rhythm, and they were a step late. These people rushed in, and a dense rain of bullets immediately enveloped the hall. There were a lot of sparks in front of the bathroom door, and the entire door and wall were riddled with holes. Unfortunately, it was too late. Shen Rui and the others had already retreated quickly as they entered. At this time, Xing Hai and others finally crawled out from under the table, their faces livid. Get in immediately. They can't get out of the bathroom, now is the only chance. People shouted and rushed up. They all knew that Ye Fan's men would soon come to support them, and they had to kill Ye Fan before those people arrived. But in such a short time, an iron guy appeared in front of the bathroom door. The dark metal baffle and thick gun body prove that this is a killing weapon. Wu, oh. Wu Xiao from Beihua County, who was running ahead, could no longer even speak a complete sentence. Next, is the roar of death. Heavy machine guns opened fire in the trading floor. It was a disaster. A 12.7 mm caliber bullet can literally break a person's body into pieces if it hits it. It can literally knock people away. Dang 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 dang. Broken flesh and blood spun in the air, and the broken limbs were directly carried by bullets to the far wall, and blood like splashing ink spattered on the ceiling. Wu Xiao himself is a powerful superpower, but in this environment with no escape, he charges forward and faces the heavy machine gun, which is completely courting death. The body was easily torn apart, and large amounts of blood burst out from the body. It was beaten to pieces without saying a word. Those Lu Long's men who rushed in from behind became the focus of heavy machine gun fire. People fell down like grass. Some people were still firing their guns, and their bodies had been beaten into sieves. The flying bullets hit the chandelier on the ceiling. The chandelier fell down, and the sky was filled with broken glass shards. Zhao Xiaohao from Fujian is considered smart. When the heavy machine gun opened fire, he stood relatively far back and ran out the door with his life in danger. However, his whereabouts were still locked by the heavy machine gun soldiers. The storm of bullets was like a torrent of metal, directly penetrating the wall and locking Zhao Xiaohao, who had already run out of the door, through the wall. This is a total massacre. The enemy huddled behind the metal baffle. There was only a small door, and no evolution could possibly break through the crazy firepower of the heavy machine gun. Xing Hai immediately grabbed Lu Long and huddled in a corner, his heart filled with despair. Ye Fan, this bastard, was so gloomy that he even placed a heavy machine gun here. How did he do it? Lu Long's team is about to be wiped out here. Seeing his men being harvested by heavy machine guns like grass, Lu Long has lost his ability to think. Xing Hai still had some sense, and he forcibly pulled Lu Long up. Jump off the building. Implement the second plan. My Dongfeng warriors are still down there, and people are stationed not far away to assist us and give us all the gold and silver we have hidden. They will help, as long as we jump down, we still have a chance of survival. Thanks to the book friend, please call me Little Dumb, for the 13,000 coin reward, I was promoted to the Hall Master and became the second place on the fan list of this book. Chapter 77. Escape. It's not that Xinghai and others didn't plan carefully enough, in fact they have done a good job. Using Ye Fan's psychology of suppressing everyone, he successfully aroused people's anger, and used the greedy psychology of these people to jointly deal with Ye Fan. Even if the departure of Qin Yumo and Dai Yu has some impact, the impact is definitely not big. The elevator suddenly dropped and a group of people rushed in. Normally, Ye Fan would not have a chance. It's a pity that something went wrong along the way. Ye Fan was actually able to place a heavy machine gun in the bathroom in advance, and Ye Fan's radar showed that their arrangement could be seen clearly. This kind of battle is impossible to fight at all. Unless Ye Fan deliberately lets them go, it is impossible to win. Xinghai pulled Lu Long and ran to the window near the corner. Lu Long! Don't hesitate. This is the second route we planned. If we don't run, we will have no chance. Lu Long also woke up at this moment. When he saw the battle in the hall that was coming to an end, blood came from the corner of his mouth. Ye Fan! If you don't take revenge for this, I swear you won't be a human being. Brother Hai, let's jump. The trading floor is on the third floor. A normal person would break his leg if he jumped and would not fall to his death. But these two were different. Both of them were evolutionaries. If they jumped from the third floor, they would at most lose their sight. Xinghai is a powerful mutant. He kicked the window open and the two people jumped out. This is the backyard of the hardware building, and it is not open to outside survivors. The two people jumped out, but there was no one here. As soon as he ran out of the backyard door, he saw soldiers under Ye Fan chasing him. They're over there. Don't let them get away. Xinghai saw this situation and immediately said to Lu Long, run separately. Wait for the opportunity to meet again. Lu Long didn't have time to say anything and started running in one direction. The two people's abilities are different. Xinghai is pure strength, while Lu Long's abilities are more special. Not only can he run fast, he can even jump 3 meters high, and he can easily break the previous world record in jumping. It is an almost light gong ability. Relatively speaking, Lu Long has a higher chance of survival. Lu Long ran desperately, his fat body moving in a Z shape, making it difficult for the army soldiers chasing behind him to hit him. The bullets whizzed past, and from time to time a string of white smoke rose from the ground. However, he couldn't get rid of the warriors chasing behind him. Each of these 3-star warriors were superhuman in physical fitness. They could run at 100 meters in less than 12 seconds when fully equipped. He has to run a zigzag route, and of course it is impossible to leave him behind. Lu Long has already used his energy to milk, and his goal is also very clear. There is an artificial river dug out during farmland water conservancy construction in front, with a width of 10 meters. This river is dug 3 meters deep and is the infrastructure to protect the rural areas of Sichuan County from natural disasters. There is no bridge in this section. As long as he can jump across the river, he can run all the way and escape. The only problem is how he can ensure that when he jumps over the river, he will not be hit by bullets from behind. After all, it is impossible to move in a Z shape on the river. Seeing that he was almost in front of the river, Lu Long's eyes suddenly lit up. There is a dead tree on the shore. Not long, only a little over 1 meter, but just enough to block his body. He rushed over desperately, rolled on the ground, and then jumped directly behind the dead tree with a leap. A piece of wood splinter flew, but it didn't penetrate. Lu Long was overjoyed, and with his stronger body after evolution, he directly picked up the dead wood. It's okay, not too heavy. Hold the dead wood as a shield. He used all his strength to perform a super long jump. In the past, he might have fallen into the river after jumping 2 meters, but after possessing the superpower, he could jump out 7 or 8 meters even if he was holding a piece of wood. He fell to the shore and used wood to block it twice, and he survived. Whoosh! Jump up! The pursuers from behind also arrived at the river and opened fire with their guns, but they could not penetrate the wood. Lu Longren already felt that his fate was in his hands while he was still in the air. Ye Fan, it's going to be very difficult for you to kill me, a light gung fugitive. Let's wait and see, Lu Long turned around in the air and saw a soldier carrying a rocket launcher among the pursuers. The dark muzzle has been pointed at himself. A rocket burst through the air. A group of red fireworks exploded in the air, announcing that another boss in the Coal City area had become history. Suemo, a 3-star rocket launcher warrior, put away his rocket launcher, waved his hand, and returned along the same route with several army soldiers around him. Compared with Lu Long's escape, Xing Ha's side was much smoother. After running away from Lu Long, Xing Hai lowered his head and ran in a straight line. Although his strength was strengthened, he ran much faster, and he ran for more than a kilometer. There is a piece of grass in front. The warrior of the East Wind stopped there. He got this car in the prosperous period of Michan. After getting it, he couldn't put it down and drove to Surabaya this time. Xing Hai is quite thoughtful. He had parked his car in the grass in advance as a way out. He and Lu Long even put the gold somewhere else. Since Ye Fan wanted it, he didn't give it so easily. If the situation was unfavorable, he could exchange the gold's hiding place for a chance to survive. He was cautious enough. Hopped into the car, started the warrior, and rushed out with a rumble. Bumping in the wilderness, I ran 2 kilometers along the way. Seeing that the pursuers were finally behind him, Xing Hai breathed a sigh of relief and drove the car to the edge of a nearby cornfield. There is a haystack here. Open it up and remove a stubborn rock underneath. There are 2 packages inside. This is his and Lu Long's gold collection. Each of them collected almost 10 kilograms. Now that he and Lu Long are separated, all the gold belongs to him alone. After collecting the gold, we drove for almost another kilometer and stopped at an intersection. Xing Hai took out a lighter and lit a pile of dry firewood, and thick smoke rose into the sky. This is the code he agreed with those people, and this is the agreed place. Seeing the smoke rising, Xing Hai shivered and sat on the ground, only to find that his clothes had been soaked with sweat. It's nothing, nothing. If I survive the disaster, I will be blessed. I felt relieved in my heart. About 10 minutes later, there was the roar of a vehicle. They are all large off-road vehicles, 6 in total. There were 5 or 6 people in each vehicle, wearing camouflage field uniforms, carrying steel guns, and wearing military helmets. The man in front was chewing gum and his eyes were cold. They were not people from the Qin and Han dynasties, but a group of foreign soldiers. Xing Hai suddenly smiled and greeted him enthusiastically, "Hello. Sakati. Are you John?" John walked up to Xing Hai and patted him on the shoulder, "Hey. Xing, are you okay?" No, it's not good at all. That Ye Fan forced Leader Liu and me to a dead end. Leader Liu's hometown was taken over by him, and all the people I brought were beaten to death. How can you have to help us this time? No problem, have you brought your things? I brought it, I was afraid that Ye Fan would find it, so I hid it well and gave it to you now. Xing Hai presented the 2 bags with both hands and handed them into John's hands. John opened the bag and took a look, "Oh. That's a lot, Xing, you have completed the task perfectly. Then shall we fight back now?" "Of course, you lead the way and show those people how awesome you are." Xing Hai turned around excitedly and started to drive ahead to lead the way. There was a crisp gunshot, and his body was frozen. Looking down, he saw that his heart had been punctured. At this moment, he understood something. No wonder he was able to run out. It turned out that Ye Fan regarded himself as a cash machine. Ye Fan lacks great virtue. His body fell to the ground and he died on the spot. John didn't even look at him, and led his troops closer to the hardware building. He wanted to send all Xing Hai Lu Long's gold, as well as what he had collected during this period, to Ye Fan. Xing Ha's body was abandoned in the wilderness until 2 zombies appeared next to him and dragged him away. Chapter 78. The second company is in production. When John quietly handed over these gold and silver to Ye Fan, it was the time when Ye Fan made the fastest money. After the heavy machine gun unleashed its power, all the enemies in the trading hall were wiped out by Ye Fan. Only Chen Hao and his 2 men were left huddled in the corner. They were allies, so naturally they had to be let go. Xing Hai, Lu Long, Wu Xiao, Zhao Ziohao, Wang Huai, the bosses of these 5 major forces were destroyed here, and some of the people they brought below had no chance to resist. 3 vehicles were equipped with 1 machine gun. Several people who tried to resist were shot to death on the spot. Without relying on building defense, they did not even have a chance to fight back. Only the more than 20 people from Dakingshan brought by Xinghai huddled in a room on the first floor and resisted. Flamethrower Wang Aiyu came to the window under the cover of several army soldiers. A stream of flames sprayed into the room, and the scene suddenly stopped. Everyone looked at this group of powerful Dawn army with trembling eyes, worried that they would cause a big purge. Of course, Ye Fan will not cause any massacre. Killing all these people is not a good thing. There are no leaders or guards in each base. It may be difficult to survive in the face of zombies. If those desperate survivors ran to their own territory and refused to leave, Ye Fan would really feel a headache. There are still nearly 300 armed personnel left in the 5 major forces, and they are all squatting in the corner, waiting for Ye Fan to deal with them. Without the leadership of their leader, they are more docile than little sheep. Ye Fan had no time to deal with them for the time being, but kindly helped these people keep their supplies and firearms, and started trading with ordinary survivor groups. Just follow the price-having plan that Ye Fan decided later. The survivors had collected some gold, but it was useless to keep it. Someone from the Shugwang army used a loudspeaker to shout the transaction information, and finally some people couldn't help but go over to trade with Ye Fan. After the first person got what he wanted in exchange for 2 guns and some condiments from Ye Fan, all the survivors rushed up and rushed to trade with Ye Fan. Ye Fan's team is not large in Coal City. If it were not for his strong armed force, he would not even be qualified to enter the hall and trade with those bosses. Among the people present, there were more than 30 survivors with hundreds of people, which was close to the number of survivors in Ye Fan's Chengguan town. Each group may not have much gold, but the total amount is very considerable. Ye Fan also found a lot of gold from Wu Xiao, Zhao Ziohao, and Wang Huai. The total of these 3 people was close to 20 kilograms. The total amount of gold in the hands of other survivors reached 30 kilograms. After John brought the gold from Xinghai, Lu Long, and others, the total amount of gold in Ye Fan's hands had exceeded 100 kilograms. They are all packed in the commander's bag, and Ye Fan has not converted them yet. The supplies were almost traded, and Ye Fan still had some grain and diesel left in his hand. Half of the firearms collected from the 5 major forces were replaced by Ye Fan. The previous groups of forces in Coal City have done many evil things, and it's time for some new forces to rise. Those small groups of survivors will definitely grow stronger if they get weapons, and everyone will have a good impression of Ye Fan. There was a little food and diesel left, which Ye Fan exchanged for other supplies from other survivors. He is not short of anything but food and fuel. These red police soldiers are extremely powerful in combat, but they are all big eaters. A company can eat one by one. A company of 130 people, plus the engineer platoon and so on, is less than 200 people. It can eat more than the 400 survivors of Chengguan town combined. I don't know who these guys are following. Ye Fan was very helpless about this. So he consumes a lot of food, and all his vehicles burn diesel, which consumes a lot of diesel. After loading the food and diesel into the car, the transaction is basically completed. The survivors were still trading other supplies with each other, and Ye Fan no longer wanted to participate. The base of the hardware building is basically abandoned. Those who were oppressed by Lu Long have joined the ranks of other survivors, which in turn has strengthened other forces. As for the thugs from the 5 major forces, they can only be regarded as the followers of the leader. Ye Fan did not kill them all. He let Xiao Tian smell them one by one. Those who had evil intentions were killed on the spot, and his weapons were confiscated completely and honestly, leaving them to fend for themselves. Way out. Some people made the journey back with difficulty, and some simply joined other forces on the spot. Ye Fan returned to the hardware building, and he was going to count the loot. At this trading conference, Ye Fan was the biggest winner, and there was already a pile of gold and silver in his bag. Coming to a separate room, with heavy security outside the door, Ye Fan opened his bag and took out all the gold and silver. Did he? I found precious metals that can be converted into system money. Do you want to convert them? Convert all. The transformation was successful. Congratulations, sir, for winning 135,890 gold. Hearing this number, Ye Fan was hit by a huge surprise. I actually received more than 130,000 gold in one go. This has far exceeded the total amount of gold collected by Ye Fan before. Just before the construction of the base, the arrival of this fund will undoubtedly make Ye Fan's strength improve by leaps and bounds. Ye Fan didn't even know how to spend the money for a while. More than 100,000 yuan, building base infrastructure such as walls, guard towers, etc. should be able to play a big role, but the troops also need to be expanded. With the improvement of technology and the increase of construction units, it is very expensive for Ye Fan to build a company. He has already calculated that, excluding vehicles, it would cost at least more than 30,000 gold to build a company. Anti-aircraft infantry, rocket launchers, heavy machine guns, mortars, snipers, engineers, and scouts are all expensive arms. Not to mention vehicles, armored vehicles, ambulances, dining cars, transport vehicles, and the cars of company commanders and platoon commanders all cost money. To fully arm a company, at least 50,000 gold is needed. Ye Fan seems to have a lot of money in his hand, but if he is fully armed, he may not be able to form a full battalion. Are you arming 2 companies? Ye Fan did the math and found that the more than 130,000 gold, plus the more than 10,000 gold received from Chen Hao, added up to less than 150,000. If 2 companies were armed, then the construction base would be too far behind. Food is also a big problem. When there are not so many people needed for the time being, he wants to save some food. Soon Ye Fan formulated a plan. Mr. Produce your own second company. There are 130 people in a company, which is really expensive. There are 36 army soldiers and 7,200 gold. Mobilize 36 soldiers and 3,600 gold. There are 11 military dogs, 9 of which are assigned to each squad, and 2 belong to the company headquarters, which also require 3,300 gold. 8 medical soldiers and 8 cooking squads receive 2,400 gold. Including the vehicles for their 2 squads, it costs 4,500 more. Mortars cost 1,800, 3 scouts cost 1,500, 3 snipers cost 2,400, 3 rocket launchers cost 3,600, and 3 flamethrowers cost 1,500. 8 guard squads cost 1,600, and the armored vehicle costs 4,000 and comes with 2 soldiers. Ye Fan equipped the second company with 2 more engineers and 2 more anti-aircraft infantry. The cost has exceeded 40,000, and the number of people is basically full. Finally, Ye Fan assigned 2 more cars. 2 Dongfeng warriors serve as the platoon leaders' vehicles. The company commander's Xiaolong is no longer needed. He still has one for the company commander's use. Xing Hai, a small infantryman who sent money, went around in circles, and finally drove the warrior back, so it was enough to produce 2 more warriors. Ye Fan is not equipped with the transport truck for the time being. He has heavy trucks to deal with first. When he has more money, he will equip all the vehicles for each company. Just these alone have cost Ye Fan 45,000 gold. After all selections are made, let's make them together. Confirmation is complete, the total cost is 45,000 gold, and it will take 7.5 hours. Please wait patiently, sir. After spending this money, Ye Fan still had 101,000 gold left in his hand. That's enough, we'll live here today while the second company is built, and we'll set off immediately to Kaotian Farm tomorrow morning to start base construction. Thank you all for your rewards. This is Haitu's motivation. It's a new day and you can vote for recommendations. Chapter 79. The Mystery of Zombie Evolution. Before Ye Fan started to launch a violent attack, Gao Dongliang followed several mobilization troops back to Chengguan town. Drove 2 heavy trucks and brought back some supplies to ensure the basic living needs of Chengguan town. This time in exchange for gold, Ye Fan brought most of the supplies. There was not much inventory in Chengguan town. Moreover, Ye Fan asked Su Haoran over there to pick out practical materials as much as possible, because he couldn't stay there for too long in Chengguan town, and the base vehicle would have to be moved after it was built. Also, it is inconvenient to leave Gao Dongliang here if Ye Fan continues to attack. The way back is relatively safe, and there is basically no problem if you don't take the initiative to cause trouble. The survivors downstairs were dismissed by the Don army after the transaction was completed, and this place will be placed under martial law. It was getting dark, and Ye Fan's troops began to appear one after another. The first thing that appeared was the cooking class and the dining car, because everyone had to eat. After the recruits came over to report to Ye Fan, they immediately began to work intensely, cooking. From dusk to midnight, Ye Fan's side has been in a continuous state of dispatching troops. Ye Fan was already familiar with the other units, so he didn't need to ask too much. Only after the 2 anti-aircraft infantry appeared did Ye Fan pay attention. Air Defense Infantryman Zheng Zilong reports to the commander. Air Defense Infantryman Song Yi reports to the commander. These 2 anti-aircraft infantry actually don't have much use at the moment, but Ye Fan wants to take precautions before they happen. In case of a certain day, a plane ran up to bomb his head, but he couldn't do it temporarily. Tell me about the two of you. Sir, we use the domestic Hongying 5-man portable air defense missile with a missile length of 1.46 meters, a diameter of 72 millimeters, and a weight of 10.2 kilograms. The attack speed does not exceed the aircraft speed of 260 meters per second, and the effect is good. The maximum combat distance is 4,400 meters. The combat altitude is 2,500 meters, it can follow an attack, the speed is 500 meters per second, it carries 2 rounds of ammunition when there are no stars, and it automatically replenishes 1 round every 24 hours. Ye Fan nodded after hearing this. Although the number of missiles is not large and the recovery is not so fast, fortunately, soldiers can rise to stars. And although this thing is only a rudimentary man-portable missile, it is related to missiles after all. If anyone thinks he is invincible if he has a plane, then these 2 anti-aircraft infantry can teach him how to behave at any time. Except for the anti-aircraft infantry, Ye Fan doesn't plan to look at other arms. It's over after meeting them and saluting them. Sometimes Ye Fan looked back and looked at the 2 rough guys Shen Rui and Qiao Sanayu who were faithfully fulfilling their guard duties beside him, and sighed slightly in his heart. Various arms types continue to appear, more and more. When it was time to scout, a beautiful scout appeared. Scout Zhuge Yongxiu reports to the commander. Tall figure, long legs, small dimples, double eyelids, and fair skin. Standing at attention and saluting, his posture is upright, which makes people unable to take their eyes away. Ye Fan was stunned for a moment, and couldn't help but turn around and said to Shen Rui and the 2 people beside him, "It's really strange, there are actually female soldiers again." Shen Rui was stunned. Qiao Sanayu hesitated for a moment, "Your personal secretary must have made a mistake." Ye Fan nodded, "Nana is also very busy at work. It is understandable that she will make mistakes while busy. You, first serve as the company commander of the second company." "Understood. Thank you, sir." Shen Rui looked at Qiao Sanayu leaving, and suddenly felt a little tender. With 1 less scout beside him, Zhuge Yongxiu automatically stood behind Ye Fan and took on the responsibility of guarding him. "Sir, female scouts often have advantages that male scouts cannot match. They are more likely to be ignored by the enemy and can better protect you." Ye Fan remained silent. What Zhuge Yongxiu said made sense. He always agreed with things that made sense. This was an excellent quality. Shen Rui from behind looked at it, learned from the experience and lesson just now, took a step back, and gave up the main position to Zhuge Yongxiu. Looking at the slightly raised corners of the officer's mouth from the side, Shen Rui felt that he was not far away from being promoted. The long time of meeting the soldiers seemed to become shorter after that. It was not until midnight, after all the soldiers were delivered, that Ye Fan found that his stomach was growling with hunger. "Hurry up and eat." With so many soldiers at once, Ye Fan's stored food was consumed a lot. This food is probably enough for about 10 days. There was no words all night. Early the next morning, Ye Fan heard the footsteps of the patrol outside and woke up from his sleep. Opening the window, I saw groups of soldiers forming several defensive circles around them. There is no war now, everything is to protect Ye Fan's safety as the first priority. Beside the soldiers' queue, 2 assault armored vehicles, 1 Dongfeng iron armor, 1 Xiaolong and 3 Dongfeng warriors were parked there. The medics are doing physical examinations for the soldiers, and the cooking squad is preparing breakfast. There was a row of heavy trucks behind. Ye Fan confiscated many vehicles this time. He didn't want ordinary off-road vehicles. There were 8 heavy trucks here. This is his army, his second company. There is also a company and engineer platoon in Chengguan town, which are the basis for Ye Fan's survival in the last days. After getting up and washing up, Zhuge Yongxiu even buttoned Ye Fan's clothes himself and flicked the dust on his clothes. As expected, he was much more attentive than the male soldiers. Hand stopped on Ye Fan's chest, and he felt it solemnly. "Sir, your heart rate seems to be tacky. I'll ask Xiaojing or He Xiaoting to check it for you." Ye Fan waved his hand, "No need. Leading such a large army, fatigue is inevitable. I know my own body well, and the examination may be, forget it." Zhuge Yongxiu took back his hand and looked at the tired commander-in-chief, feeling sad. After the whole army had breakfast, Ye Fan ordered the team to set off. Depart from Surabaya and head to Kaotian Farm. Kaohsiung Farm is already within the scope of Huachan City and is still more than 300 kilometers away from here. There will definitely be some zombies and even mutant beasts encountered on the road. We can't get there today, and we won't get there until noon tomorrow. The earlier we set off, the better. Yesterday I had a call with the people in Chengguan town. 1/5 of the construction of the base vehicle has been completed. The base here has not yet been unveiled, so the sooner we move, the better. A convoy of more than a dozen vehicles set off, with heavy trucks temporarily replacing transport vehicles. All the soldiers got on the vehicles and started to set off. The rumble of the motorcade brought up smoke and dust and gradually left the hardware building. The hardware building, which once housed 2,000 survivors, has since become history, empty of people. On the edge of Coal City, in a small town dozens of kilometers away from the hardware building, a large group of people gathered together. That was a team of nearly 10,000 people. It is no longer accurate to say that they are human beings, because every member of this team has a terrifying appearance with a hideous face and flesh. This is a group of zombies. With such a large number of zombies gathered together, the air was filled with a fishy smell. There are still survivors in many small towns, but this town has completely become a ghost town. There is no other life except zombies in the whole town. Zombie groups surrounded the town government, and the buildings here were in ruins. Normal zombies are outside and mutated zombies are in the center. At the very core, there is a bald zombie. It was Wang Huining who had disappeared for some time. At this time, in front of Wang Huining, Xing Ha's body was lying on the edge of a crater. Boss Xing. Wang Huining made an unpleasant and hoarse voice. He wanted to be sad, but found that his emotions were much duller, and the normal emotions of laughter and crying were far away from him. We all fell into Ye Fan's hands after all. But don't worry, I will give you a new life in another way. Let us join hands again and embark on the road of revenge. Wang Huining waved his claws and made 5 cuts on Xing Ha's arm. About 10 minutes later, Xing Ha's body changed. Ho ho! Xing Ha's throat roared uniquely to a zombie. He was originally a pure power user, but now he is rapidly evolving into iron armor. The pace of evolution is very fast. Wang Huining's eyes were bright, as if he had discovered a secret. Thanks to the book friend, Fei Yanren, for once again giving me 1,000 rewards and becoming another master of this book. Thanks to Blood Moon Snow Traces, book friends for their generous rewards and becoming the helmsman of this book. Regarding the fact that corpses can turn into zombies, I am not making this up. I have watched many biochemical movies and TV shows. Some zombies even crawled out of graves. Some zombies were eaten and only half of them were left, but they still mutated, leaving only half of them. The body is also crawling, which shows that zombies can mutate after death. Therefore, in this book, it is assumed that people can also become zombies after death. Chapter 80. Core area of the base. The convoy drove for more than a day and encountered 2 waves of zombies along the way, and finally arrived at the Kaohsiung farm without any danger. The so-called backing refers to the Xing'an Mountains to the north of this farm. The towering mountains are to the northwest of the farm, blocking some of the cold winds from the northern Siberian plains, and allowing warm and humid air to gather here, so the climate conditions here are slightly better than those around it. More than 300 kilometers to the east is the Coal City, 400 kilometers to the south is the Ice City, and 100 kilometers to the southwest is the Flower City. There are several county towns nearby, but the population here is not large. Because there are mountains to the north and northwest, transportation is not that convenient. The Kixing River originates in the Xing'an Mountains and flows through the farm, nourishing the land. With a radius of several hundred kilometers, most of it is fertile farmland, and there used to be a gold mine near the Xing'an Mountains. Ye Fan remembered that when he was a child, he often heard people say that gold could be mined here, but as he grew up, it gradually disappeared. Maybe it was because the gold reserves were not large. But Ye Fan wanted to give it a try. Red Alert's mining technology is definitely at the world's leading level. As long as there is a mine, it can be detected by the mine car. Ye Fan's motorcade arrived at Kaohsiung farm and stopped at the edge of Kixing River. Engineer Luo Jiaxin came to Ye Fan with 2 new engineers. Sir, I think the place you chose is good. You see, the mountains in the north are a natural barrier, and the Kixing River can provide us with a steady supply of water. I suggest you build your base at the foot of the Kixing River. At the mouth of the river, the upper reaches of the river are included within the scope of the base, so as to ensure that we have inexhaustible drinking water. You mean, let the river flow through the base? Yes, water is the source of life. Without sufficient water, survival cannot be guaranteed. We must ensure that the source of water is under our control. This is one of the prerequisites. Ye Fan admitted that what Luo Jiaxin said made sense, but the amount of work would be relatively large. A base that accommodates a river can no longer be described as a base, but as a small city. The project of building a single ring of fence is definitely not a small expense. According to what Luo Jiaxin said, his 100,000 gold is far from enough. Luo Jiaxin was still talking about his plan. Sir, I don't think you need to think too much about it first. The first thing you need to consider is the internal base of our Red Police team. For example, you must first determine your place of residence. Speaking, Luo Jiaxin took out a prepared drawing. Sir, I have been working on the design of the base map since you asked me to design it. After using your walkie-talkie to talk to Huang Ji from Chen Kuaishao yesterday, I already have an overview of the situation. First of all, you need to have a core area, located in the safest place in the entire base. Our team can regenerate if they die, and rebuild if the building is damaged, but you can't, you are the only one. Ye Fan nodded, he knew this very well. So first you determine your own living area and circle a place to build your commander's residence in the future. I suggest this place is close to the river, with easy access to water and good scenery. You continue. Ye Fan became interested. The core area is your residence, and then there is our Red Alert internal base. I suggest that this part is not open to the public, and this part covers a considerable area. Luo Jiaxin gave Ye Fan instructions with the drawings. I have communicated with Huang Ji that the area of a power plant is almost tens of thousands of square meters, and the area of a military camp is even larger. After that, there is the construction of a radar station. This is the construction of a tank factory, and the Air Command Department is a large area of space and needs to be able to take off and land fighter jets. Ye Fan looked at the dazzling buildings above, followed by the construction of combat laboratories and nuclear power plants. Field hospitals, super weapons, maintenance factories, the list goes on. Sir, I also suggest that these buildings should be separated by walls, and that the military camps and chariot factories should be slightly further away, so as not to affect the rest of the soldiers. It is best to have a side door near the tank factory and the barracks to facilitate the rapid dispatch of troops. You cannot go to the area where survivors are during war. Ye Fan listened for a while, then how much area do you think our internal area needs? It depends on the structure of the army that the commander builds according to. For a battalion, 1 square kilometer is almost the same. For a regiment, it must be at least 3 square kilometers, because the barracks need to be expanded to 4, and the tank factory also needs to be expanded. Because vehicles also need garages and power plants need to be added, the more buildings there are, the more electricity they need. What if it's a brigade? For a brigade, it will be several times larger, and it may require at least 8 or 9 square kilometers. Ye Fan looked around and realized that this place might not be enough for a brigade. Because it not only has Red Alert units, there will be more and more survivors in the future, and there may even be more survivors than Red Alert units. The cost of the wall is an astronomical figure. Not to mention a 10-meter-high wall that costs 500 gold per meter, Ye Fan can't even afford to build a 5-meter-high wall that costs 100 gold per meter. That's good. The internal area is designed according to 4 square kilometers. It is a site for strengthening the team. Let's expand it when the team grows. We must remember that the design is reasonable, easy to manage separately, and the various buildings should not affect each other. Understood, sir. First please determine the location of your official residence so that we can build a base around this location. Ye Fan called Han Hao, the driver of the armored vehicle, to come over. He, 3 engineers, and 2 scouts got into the vehicle and drove along the Kixing River. After bumping along the river bank for a while, we arrived at the foot of the Xing'an Mountains. This is where the Kixing River goes down the mountain. Because of the water flowing down the mountain, a pool has even been formed here. The water pool is not too big, about 2,000 square meters. The water quality is extremely clear, and you can even see fish in the water. There is a silvery beach beside the river, and there is a gentle upwards from the beach, surrounded by birch forests, ginkgo trees, and even a few hawthorn trees. There is even a thatched hut here, which was built by the farm caretakers when they were patrolling the mountain, but it is now empty. Being able to build a house here is a testament to the beautiful scenery. It's a really good place. I think this place is very good. Ye Fan looked at this gently sloping area. It would definitely be the first choice to build an official residence. There are mountains, water, and a large plain at the foot. It is a very good location whether it is to be built as a base or to continue farming. This river can even navigate small boats, there is a road nearby, and there is a backing farm train station 7 kilometers away, which can connect to trains. As for the approximate location of the abandoned gold mine, it should be inside the mountain, and it shouldn't be very far away. It doesn't matter if it's further away, just make more trips with the mining truck. Sir, please confirm the center coordinates. Ye Fan walked around for a while and finally came to the center of the gentle slope. He stepped on the ground and said, "This is it. This is the center of my official residence. You can start designing according to these coordinates." Understood. Based on this central point construction, according to the proportion of a reinforced regiment, the inner area will be 4 square kilometers. A few engineers moved quickly and started designing. The engineer started planning, and Ye Fan started calculating the cost of the wall. It's not that I don't know, it's just that I'm shocked. Ye Fan did not plan to build a 10-meter high wall, but even a 5-meter high wall would cost 100 gold per meter. Even for a rectangular internal area, the circumference reaches 10,000 meters. The cost of building a 5-meter wall is 1 million gold. This does not include the various walls in the internal area, but only the price of the exterior walls. Of course we cannot count the walls surrounding the survivors' living areas, which is probably an astronomical number. At first I thought 100,000 gold was a lot, but now I see it is simply too little. It turns out that the wall is the big money maker. It seems like this base won't be able to win even if the wall alone doesn't have several $1 million. Just when Ye Fan was at a loss what to do, Nana gave a voice prompt. The engineer's drawing has been completed, and the commander has decided to start base construction. In order to save costs, the material recycling station has been unlocked. Please check it, sir.